Okay, hello. Now we have two fire officer students from Netherlands visiting our office, and they're going to tell us about how the fire and rescue services work in Netherlands and something about the education system and so on. So please welcome Kimberley and Jeroen. You can start your presentation now.
Can I do that? Yeah. Hi. Yeah, I'm Kimberley. Yeah, please tell your name, I think.
My name is Jeroen. And we're going to tell you a little bit about the brandweer, which is our fire department. We are both from different regions, so you'll get two different perspectives as well. But we'll get in depth about that a little bit later on.
Yeah.
The Dutch Fire Service, or the Netherlands Fire Service, consists of 23,000 firefighters who have a two-tier way of becoming a firefighter. We have professional firefighters and we have volunteers. This is different from the Finnish system because all our firefighters are educated and trained in the same way. So our volunteers and our professional firefighters have the same education, which also makes that they can actually interchange. We can have a volunteer go and assist a professional and the other way around. Our mission is to have fewer fires, fewer casualties, less damage and less loss.
May sound familiar.
On a population of almost 18 million people, on a rather small surface, we have 961 fire stations at the moment. We had 132,000 incidents last year and a total budget of 1.3 billion euros. We've had some major incidents, disasters in the Netherlands in different regions. We'll get a little bit more into the funding later on, which will explain some differences in regions as well. Most recent one has been the flooding of the southern part of Limburg, which put a lot of strain on the different services. One other incident worth mentioning is in 2008 we lost two firefighters in the Punt. It was a warehouse in which there was a lot of smoke accumulation in the underneath the roof, which ignited and took the lives of two firefighters. Three, sorry, yes, you're right. 3 firefighters, which actually initiated a complete new look on fighting fires, from which since 3 years, almost a little bit more, we've had a new way of, we call it Manschap 2.0. Manschap is our name for a basic firefighter. So we developed a new program, a new way of looking at fires, handling fires, and fighting fires. Our country is being divided into 25 security regions, and we originate from the different municipals. And that's why, and you'll see this in the next picture as well, we've got fire stations all over the country. It has been regionalized to get more of a centralized governance and more universal way to educate on and organize our fire department. The way our security regions are organized is also quite different according to the region. We'll take R2, for example, later on, but there is also difference in, for us, for example, firefighting is firefighting. We do not do ambulance services. We do get basic training, life-saving skills, to stabilize the situation.
Yeah, we are not paramedics.
But we're not paramedics.
No.
Although in some regions, in the same security region, we do have the paramedic services underneath the same umbrella, but it's a separate branch of organization.
And not everywhere. So
Yeah, not all of the regions do this, but some of them do. There's coordination from the different commanders. Every region has its commander, and they come together in the council of commanders and directors for the safety regions, in which they try and get a global direction for the whole country, which is already succeeding in a universal education for all firefighters.
now I hope it's going to work.
We'll see.
Yes.
These are the 25 different safety regions in the Netherlands. I'm going to look at the screen for a second. Number 13 is where you're from, Kimberley, and number 14 as well. Is that correct? Yeah, number 14 as well.
But I'm going to zoom in on 13, but I will tell it in a minute.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm from number 8, more to the south. And every safety region has their own direction, their own board of directors, and say in how they manage their region.
Yeah, I'm gonna better that I tell it now. I started my firefighting career as a volunteer in number 14, so that's why I know 14 and 13. But now for as a student fire officer, I'm here for the region of 13, where Amsterdam is. But I will tell more about it in a minute.
In this overview, you still see the 25 different regions, but all the dots you see are fire stations.
It's from 2009, so it can be like less fire stations now, but it's like 960 fire stations. Yeah, in the Netherlands.
And what you can notice straight away, it's been really evenly distributed, which is the fire stations originated from the different villages. And they distributed sort of automatically because of the time to get to places. And this is actually the big advantage the fire department has. We are really decentralized. We've got a real big coverage, and there is no organization in the whole of the Netherlands that can actually have professionals at the scene within 10 minutes of having any kind of incident.
Well, then we're going to talk about Amsterdam, Amsterland. That's the whole title of my region. You can see Amsterdam in the middle of the region, and around it there are like a few more little cities that's within the region. You will find the fire brigade care here, but we don't have the medical assistant in the region as well. That's a different organization, but we do have the control room, so the dispatch. We do have the crisis management and other business operations. With the control room, it's also funny to say, because in the Netherlands we have like 10 big control rooms now, with most of the regions working together and having one control room. Amsterdam has its own, and it's more or less because Amsterdam is just a big city with a lot of calls. Only the fire brigade has about 11,000 emergency calls per year. And the control room is with the police department and with the ambulance care. So for only this region, it's quite big. Amsterdam is a city with almost 1 million people. So you can understand that this region is rather small in comparison to other regions, but has, I think, one of the most people in the little area. We have 19 fire stations with 6 volunteer ones and 12 professional and 1 combined. And combined means that the first fire truck is filled with the professional firefighters, and The next one, or some specialties, are with volunteers. Yeah, we have also one of the professional fire station is like, yeah, now you have to help me, I think. It's like in the harbor. It's like half of the region, but half of like the...
Yeah, we have besides our organizations, the fire organization, we also have commercial fire brigades, for example, with big companies like Shell Oil. But there is also buildings with higher risk, or companies with higher risk get a certain demeanor in the Netherlands, and they have to have their own fire services. But most of them are too small to pay for their own fire brigade. So there is something called the translation is the common firefighters, and they actually take a subscription with them. They have multiple fire stations, which was not in the picture before. So this is on top of the regular fire stations for mostly industrial uses.
Yeah, you can find most of them at the harbor of Rotterdam, but Amsterdam, because of its harbor, has one as well. And that's one of the 12 professional ones I show here. So thank you for your explanation.
Welcome.
Yeah, we are rather small. We have like 459 professional firefighters and about 200 volunteers. And that's very different from other regions, because in the Netherlands, like Jeroen told us already, we have the same training, but 80% of the Netherlands firefighters are volunteers, and like 20% is a professional one. But because of the centrum of Amsterdam, we have a lot of professional fire stations. So yeah, we just have our 24-hour shifts, and with that, the professional firefighters. And it's just more than in other regions. Yeah.
Maybe a little addition and context on our volunteers. Basically, our volunteers are part-time firefighters. So a professional is someone that is at the fire station, stays there, sleeps there, works there, and responds to calls. And a part-time firefighter, or volunteer, how we call them, is someone that wears each pager around, or when he has his shift. And he just goes to his regular job. He's at home cooking, taking a shower, whatever. And then the call comes in and they respond. So especially in Amsterdam, the response time will be a little bit longer. And that's why probably you guys have more professionals ready on stations as well, I can assume.
No, it's just born from where the fire brigade came from. Okay. So in Amsterdam, you had the first fire brigade of the whole Netherlands. Mm-hmm. And because the centrum is like a really big risk with firefighting, they just stayed like professional. And you can see it as well. We come to places like under 2 minutes, and sometimes it's really necessary because of the old town it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's actually born from there is what I've learned. Oh, so I hope it's a good one I tell you now.
Okay.
But yeah, we have different teams in Amsterdam, different specialties. We have the quick response team. That's kind of like the rescue task force from Helsinki. So it's actually a team that operates in like a dangerous zone to get out the patients. So they have some extra life-saving skills, and they learn to work with the police, and they can put out fires in the danger zone, but always behind the police force. The special team. They can call, other regions can call this team, by the way. But so we have our regions and we have our specialties, but every region can call each other when it's necessary. With some teams it's easier because some regions don't have that team, but other teams can also work together. It's not like the region is totally with itself. Well, in Amsterdam we have water rescue teams, so like the surface rescue, but also the diving teams. We have a hazmat suit team. The special rescue vehicles. These were like the heavy the heavy materials. Ladder trucks, of course. So the industrial firefighting and the marine firefighting. We have large-scale water supplies operations when it's needed. We have the decontamination when it's needed. Of course, there's logistical support, so it's also for like getting new gear or materials, but it's also for when you have a long job that you have like food and drinks coming up. And we have foam firefighting vehicles. So yeah, and it's a little bit spread out in Amsterdam, but also in the volunteer, volunteer fire
Stations.
Yeah. Thanks. The professionals and volunteers all have their own specialties. That's about it. I think about Amsterdam.
Yeah, that might be something to elaborate a little bit on. A basic firefighter training differs from that in Finland, where we, for example, surface rescue teams or divers, hazmat suits. It's not in our basic training, but we've got specialized teams for that actually train in specifically this area. They're all basic firefighters, but they have this specialism, so that's what they train constantly.
Yeah. No.
Let's have a look at my region. This is Veiligheidsregio Gelderland Zuid.
A lot of we have laughed about it a lot today.
It's a safety region in the province of Gelderland, but in the south, because we also have the middle. It's a big province. So what you can see here is we have about 4,500 firefighting deployments. And next to it is 40,000 ambulance deployments. And this is something that not every region has. But we do have our ambulance care within the safety region. It is, although, a different branch of the rescue services. Underneath in that little row is also the GHOR, which is health service. But mainly focused on prevention. So, for example, vaccinations, etc. We've got crisis management in the control room and the normal business operations. In total, we have 650 professionals and 740 volunteers. Of those 650 professionals, it's about 200 firefighters. Who are all concentrated all the way to the right in the city of Nijmegen, where we have 2 professional firefighting posts. All the others are volunteer stations. There's some data on the turnover, but yeah, that's fine, I guess. What we also do in the business operations is, for example, advise on planning and events. So if there is a big artist coming to perform, for example, we will have a look at fire safety, evacuation protocols, etc., and advise the municipals on these topics.
Oh yeah.
We are, if you're going to look at the movie, if it's going to start and fix the subtitle. Our officer training that we're doing right now is being done at the National Institute of Public Safety. And this is an institute which is located in Arnhem, where we do quite a similar kind of thing as you guys do here, but there's more research. It's broader. It's also for example, cyber warfare. It's the police. It's the municipals. All disciplines trying to come together in this place and learn from each other and cooperate. We've got a little short movie on what they do over there.
But I hope it's gonna work. But
We'll see.
yeah,
Volgens 2000
it will not translate.
En we hebben het voorbereid.
NPV werkt al goed in.
Yeah.
Can you see the translation on yours? That's too bad.
Okay, then it won't work now. That's not.
Okay.
You can find this video on YouTube as well, and you can translate it to Finnish or English or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just talking a little bit more about what the institute does, and actually, it's kind of like your institute, like for the preparedness of the fire brigade and doing research, giving giving educations like our education to be a fire officer. Yeah.
Well, for example, they've been in the lead to organize the whole new learning program for the new Firefighter 2.0 after the incident at the Punt. This is where they got together and had a new look at firefighting. One of the more better examples that some other countries know about as well is the quadrant model, which originated from that incident.
Yep.
And the NIPV actually takes the lead in those kinds of examinations and research. Also, one of the fields that the NIPV has done a lot of research in is on volunteering. Because we have a lot of volunteers in the Netherlands, there's been a lot of research on why does a volunteer get motivated? Why would he leave? How can we stimulate this? How can we support volunteers? Because it's different from someone who is being employed by an employee.
Yeah. So yeah, if there are if you want more information, you can always look it up. I think they're very open to everybody because it's a big institute for this kind of things.
Yeah. And if you click the name of the NIPV, it also links to all the English documentation and English research that we found.
Yeah. Well, we have a special kind of education to be a fire officer. So that's why we put this slide in to tell a little bit more about us. We are the 54th group who could be on this fire officer education. And it's actually that every safety region, so every 25 of them can, now I can't even tell you.
Send 1 or 2 persons.
Thank you. Send 1 or 2 persons to this education. So we are with 21 this year, with actually not from every safety region, but also not from the Netherlands only, because we also have one of Sint Maarten this year. So that's pretty nice, actually.
And 53, the one before us, they had 2 from the Air Force.
Yeah. So it can be a little bit different, but the basics is you have the 25 safety regions, and they can send someone to this fire officer training. What we actually learn is, now I have to start over. We have a different background, so not everybody was already a firefighter when they could be enrolled for this training. But there was one thing that you had to have, and there was a bachelor or a master's degree. So you could not just enroll. So the training is based on that you're going to learn to be a fire officer, but before you can learn that, it's within the rules that you need to be a basic firefighter first, then you need to be a sub officer, and then you can be a fire officer. So the ones that weren't a firefighter yet, they actually had to go to the training in like half a year. And we got another training because we were already firefighters. So we got to be an instructor.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell something about it?
Yeah. Once in 2 years, every region can send someone to this program. The other way that someone becomes a fire officer is just the regular way, which is you become a firefighter. After a couple of years, you might get nominated to become a sub officer, and after a couple of years, you could get nominated to become a fire officer. the real big difference also within this way and the way we're doing it is we're not only getting educated in the repressive side, so in firefighting and the practical deployment, but we're also learning about regulations, fire behavior, or we're learning how to set up learning programs. We're also learning a lot of stuff that we can use in the office. So, and besides that, human factors has been a big change in how we look at firefighting in the last couple of years. So actually one of our days in the week is fully committed to basically the psychological side of people, ourselves, getting to know yourselves, what are your triggers, what's your leadership styles, etc. And how can you deploy these skills to manage on one hand if you work at the office, or to lead when you're out for deployment. So a lot of personal development in that sense as well. Next one.
I think so.
Yeah, you do it. Yeah.
That's okay. Well, we talked about our education, but it's a little bit different from our basic education system. To start off with, we have several places where you can get to be a basic firefighter, or you got to learn to be a sub-officer. It's actually the fire officer is you can only become a fire officer at the NIPV. So that's the only central place in the Netherlands to have that education. But with the firefighting and to being a sub-officer, we have several places with some of the regions working together and use one school, I think, some kind of a fire school. Other regions just school themselves. So that's a little bit of the basic system where you can get the education of being a firefighter. Well, what we already told, everyone is trained the same. So there are no difference in like the teaching material for the professional firefighters or the volunteers. The only big difference there is that professional firefighters will learn to be a firefighter in like half a year, but they will learn it every day. So it's everyday training and learning, and the volunteers will be a firefighter like in 1.5 years, and they could train on an evening a week and sometimes a weekend day. You can't forget that they also have like the exercise with the fighting crew there enrolled in. So actually, when you're in the training, you're like 2 evenings a week. Wow, I'm sorry. You have 1 evening where you're learning to be a firefighter. The other evening you're exercising with the firefighting crew you're going to be with, and sometimes the weekend day. Yeah,
and actually you'll lose another evening at least to do all your electronic learning, because you have to do that in your spare time at home as well.
Yeah.
So.
And there's the next thing you can tell about it.
Yeah, I was jumping to the next one. Yeah, so basically, if you're a volunteer firefighter, next to your job, you're in about 1.5 years to 2. You'll lose 3 evenings and maybe some weekends for live firefighting drills, for which we go to different places. One of the bigger ones we go to is Weeze. This is in Germany. It's an old, it's still an airport, but next to it is an old town that used to be used by the Germans and had a lot of people stations. It's actually a small village, so it's got housing, it's got a restaurant, it's got a train station, it's got pretty much everything. So it's a perfect place to train.
Sometimes some regions still go to Sweden. That was something a lot of regions did, but because of budget cuts, that's not really the thing anymore. No. And we have a few smaller ones in the Netherlands, like Tronet and Boxmeer. Really small one. Tronet is okay, I think, but really small ones for a day of firefighting to train some basic skills or some new skills. It's great. So then you don't have to be to go over the border. Yeah.
Yeah, and the difference is 1.5 up to 2 years for a volunteer, and indeed the professionals, it's their employment, so they can go at it all week.
Yeah.
So they're done faster than we are.
And when you have your basic firefighting training, you can actually get a specialty. And yeah, what we told already, a lot of most firehouses have their own specialty. With some of them, you can just learn by doing some electronic learning. Yeah, some electronic learning and just practicing with it. Other specialties, you have to go to another training, like to be on the ladder trucks, you have to get a different training. Like with us, if you want to be a driver for one of the trucks, you also have to get another education for it. Yeah. So these things are a little bit of more of a specialty with us.
It's actually a nice example. A driver and the pump mechanic for a fire truck is actually a specialty. This is not included in the normal firefighter training. If you want to be a driver, you take a additional course, which also explains why our basic firefighter education is so much shorter than it is in
the things.
Finland. Yeah.
And also one of the things we do learn, and it's a little bit different from yours, is that we all got our smoke diving. It's I think we learn like in the first few months, and then we all were smoke divers. Yeah. So and with some things it's more strict, like the divers, like for the water, are more strict. But with other specialties, it's a little bit more loose, but of course there are still some hours of practice you should put in, and that's a little bit that's monitored. We're actually having more discussions about it, how we can do that at best. Also in the Netherlands, we all like to have a lot of specialties, but you should be wondering if that's practical. Because of course, if you have a lot of specialties, you should know a lot about them. And then most people are volunteers, so they also got their own jobs to do.
And then you only got so much time to be proficient in what you have to do.
Yeah. So I think that's our basic education system, and that's actually it for now. But of course, if there are questions, I don't know if that's interesting for now, but.
Yeah, thank you. Very interesting and informative presentation. I was thinking about the human factors, and you talk about the pond accident and development work after that, and Firefighter 2.0. And it sounds really interesting in a Finnish perspective. I guess in Finland there has been a development, but not in that large scale, but like gradually improving something and so on.
We made a really massive shift towards personal safety afterwards. We have a saying, did we do it correctly or did it go correctly? Which basically translates to, did we get lucky, or were we proficient in what we were doing? And if we're critical, a lot of the times you also get lucky. So that means there's actually still a lot to learn and to improve on tactics, etc. And with the new approach, there's more emphasis on our own safety. And for example, let's take a building. There's nobody inside anymore. It's just materials. It's insured. Why risk your life going inside if it's just a couple of beams and some steel and concrete? And that's difficult sometimes to stand by and just control the situation and not do more than that.
Yeah, and also the 4-quadrant model that you mentioned. It's also used in Finland nowadays, but I guess not all of the firefighters that know it already, and at least that you should practice how it works.
Yeah.
Because in the heat of the moment,
that's why we go to places like Wezen to really practice in the warm condition, in the realistic conditions, and we really practice with the goal. Okay, guys, now we're gonna train on this quadrant. So keep in mind that if you find something, then you know what to do. But that's more for the firefighters. More of a thing for the firefighters who weren't trained in a new way. So, and which we also use in the Netherlands is a little bit of the system that the new firefighters in training actually need to do some extra exercises from the education, to learn more about it. But which we like to see is that the older people are getting into this training as well. So they keep up with the new thoughts and tasks about the firefighting that we want to see nowadays. So yeah.
For example, the way we move through a building has been radically changed. We used to feel our way around with a sort of a weird fireman dance. Well, nowadays we get lower, so we avoid the heat. We avoid most of the smoke. And if there's so much smoke that if you're on your knees and you still can't see anything, depending on the smoke, of course, and the conditions, you could actually stop and think for a second, is there actually anything I can still do here? Or is this building completely filled with smoke, which is actually fuel?
Yeah.
Which makes it a condition where it can ignite at any moment. So is this a place where I should be? Because you're literally walking around in fuel. And these are different ways of looking at firefighting, which makes it, or at least makes it a bit more safe for you as a firefighter. Of course, we all want to help, which makes it more difficult when there is a victim inside, for example, and then you make different risk assessment at that moment.
Yeah, it's important also to think about the refreshment training of the firefighters who are working in the fire departments, because it's quite, well, not easy, but easier to change the curriculum in the fire academy and so on, and learn and teach new things for the new people, but also the older or other people, firefighters, need new knowledge.
Yeah. Every post in the Netherlands, most of the posts, and otherwise it's another function that still covers that, has a person that's responsible for the training. So they can give direction to the training, what kind of things do they need to learn. And for example, with this new curriculum, there were electronic learning environments where they can brush up on the theoretical situation, and then they can bring it into practice as well. And every firefighter goes to a live fire training once in 2 years, once in 1.5 we try, but that depends on the region as well. And once a year in my region anyway, we've got a bigger exercise, which is being run by instructors from our safety region who are proficient in the new way of firefighting. And they run a big drill in which they evaluate and see if the new way of firefighting is implemented the way it should be, to actually get everybody up to speed and have them train with the latest information and techniques.
This is a little bit different in the regions, but the basics are that the region will always facilitate training programs, or like at least a little bit for it, for the basics, that you can train your own firefighters with it. So we all have like a head of a fire station who can then use that to fill up the exercise evenings for the volunteers. And for the professionals, a little bit easier because the region and the professionals feel sometimes a little bit more closer to each other, but it's actually kind of the same program, of course, with the same basics. So we always, from the region, will always let the firefighters know which are the basics you need to have to be a good firefighter. And it's up to the region how they do it. That can be different. Yeah.
For example, my region, we have like a menu, literally a menu, which you can tick off every sort of exercise, which all entails different kind of detailed disciplines. And in that way, you can actually monitor if you've done everything this year. Did you train everything, or even multiple times, of course, so that you stay proficient in all the different disciplines.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. We have Annika from Spek and Saku also here. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I have one. Because I know when I was talking to German and Danish people some time ago that they have some cross-border cooperation. So I'm curious to know if the Netherlands has cross-border cooperation with Belgium or Germany, if sometimes you are closer to some accident than they are.
Yeah, I think you can tell more about it than me because I'm on the other side of the Netherlands. But yeah, I know we do of other students from our class. But I think
we do the fire stations who are near the border. They can actually have. We will not really cross each other's border. No. Even though that might be faster, that's basically not done. On the other hand, we can call upon each other's assistance if things get bigger, for example, or specialisms. Like, for example, we had a little discussion earlier about a collapse of a building, for example. We have 2 special teams in the Netherlands. Well, actually 4. It's called the USA, which also operates internationally. But we also have STH. And they have 3 places in the Netherlands. If something happens, 2 of the teams go driving and they get someone out of a collapsed building. But Germany, for example, has and I'm looking around, maybe someone knows the name. No, okay. It's a German name for basically the same sort of specialism. And of course, they are way closer to the border than one of the teams from the Netherlands is.
But they're completely different from our teams.
Exactly. It's completely different. So they will come and provide assistance. But the Dutch will always be in the lead in a situation like this. But also, we've got rivers that separate Germany and the Netherlands, for example. Sometimes, if something happens on the water, sometimes they will cross the border of the water. That's so.
Sometimes you have to.
Yeah, and that's a fluent border.
I heard that fire stations who are close to the borders with Belgium and Germany, they actually have a little bit of each other's materials because the fire hydrants are not the same. So they really have to exchange those things if we want to help. So I heard that those trucks of the Netherlands are with more materials to use those. Yeah,
that's correct. And sometimes there is some cooperation in training in advance, but that doesn't really happen a lot.
No, it's more like a big exercise than when you're talking about like once maybe in a year. That's what I heard from one of our colleagues. But
it's also because we respond with 1 unit and scale up really fast, and Germany responds with a million units on every call. So it's a real different way, a different approach to handling an incident. So then that means that practicing becomes a really big operation as well. So, but this is the practical side. Next to that, the NIPV does have a lot of collaboration with other countries in knowledge and research.
Okay, thank you very much for
You're welcome.
Visit here in Finland.
May I ask something?
Yeah.
We discussed earlier about the human resources.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit interested in, I would like to hear a little more about the subject.
Yeah.
So how you approach it, or how you educate it in advance?
Yeah, we do get a little bit of it in the Manschap 2.0, the basic Firefighter 2.0. But that's quite limited. It is more of a subject in the sub-officers training. There it is actually a big document of 160 pages on basically different psychological methods, and also insight into your own psyche. What are your triggers? What do you respond on? And how do you respond? And how can you cope with those responses? How can you, one of the big things which is also implemented is called stop and denk na, stop and think, which basically means, okay, I'm getting anxious, I'm feeling my heartbeat rising, I'm getting a bit short breath. Instead of keep going in a really high level of energy, we actually learn through breathing exercises by noticing and stopping, thinking, taking a step back, literally taking a step back, to compose yourself again and to reassess the situation, for which we have our schematics. FAPS-AM is one of them, where we start to gather the facts again, analyze it again. What are we going to do about the things that we come across, and how will we act upon it? This way, it's really integrated in the practice as well. What we try to teach our firefighters is, okay, we're going on scouting, for example, to assess the situation first. We'll come together, but take the time to share the story, to say, okay, this is what I saw, this is what I saw, this is the closest entrance to a fire. This is where the doors open, these are closed, these are the conditions we've seen. So everybody's playing a role in the same movie. Everybody knows what the other one is going to do. They know what to expect from one another before we act. It takes a bit of time, but it adds so much more of a fluent deployment down the line during the deployment, which actually saves time in the long run. And it also adds a really big layer of safety. More on the human factor part. In the sub-officer course, we are expected to learn how to deal with adverse reactions from both victims, bystanders, but also our colleagues, and how we can deal with that. How can we change the way we formulate our questions or even orders to get someone to act the way we want at that moment. Yeah, so there's quite a lot of emphasis on that. There's quite a lot of psychology behind it, and a bit of psychology that we're trying to teach our sub-officers to use in the field, but also, well, in our case, in management functions.
And of course, it's the basics. So it's not like,
No.
Please don't think about the deeper psychology theories. And it's really basic, and it's just to learn for the more sub-officers and higher functions, to learn how you can be a better leader, or how you can be a situational leader, and know what you can use in which situation. But the firefighters actually, what Jeroen told about the stop and think, that's a thing we learn as a firefighter as well. So this is one of the first things you learn. So when and also we really learn to use our gut feeling. So when something doesn't feel right, please stop and think and make it comfortable. Yeah, please say that word for me, comfortable.
Comfortable.
for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah,
so-
analyze what's the situation, because that feeling comes from somewhere.
Yeah, we learn to use that feeling, but of course with the stop and think moment. So it's not like, analyze it. Just know what you're doing.
I mean, back to comfortable zone.
Well, that sometimes when it's necessary, of course. But of course, when there's a human you need to rescue, of course you're gonna be faster. You're gonna react. But when there's the time, please take it. That's what we learn. And actually, in my region in Amsterdam, we learn to be a little bit quicker. We have a little bit of a different system, but that's because of the old city. And when there's a fire, it's gonna be so fast. So you need to be, but actually in the training you see the same things because they're so quickly trained. They're so how do you say it? They work together so well. They exactly know what to do with each other, and I think that's probably a little bit of difference between a professional crew and a volunteer crew. With volunteers, you actually never know who's going to be in your crew that day. So I think it's for the volunteers, it's quite good that we have the moment to speak to each other. Okay, I saw this, I saw that, we're going to do that. And I think with some professional crews, it's amazing that they implement it in their training, that they really think about how their training also have the stop and think moment, but a little bit quicker. Yeah. So not to give you the idea that if there's someone in there that we're gonna wait, but but so it's still in the training, but a little bit differently then. Yeah.
So one takeaway message is stop and think and analyze. And act.
Yeah, even the firefighters learn to do it, and some of them are better at it than others. But of course, that's why you have the sub officers who learn it even more to give the guidelines if necessary. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for very many interesting things, and I think we're gonna learn something from you and visit Netherlands to learn more.
Welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome, and you can always find us and ask us questions if it's necessary. Yeah.